welcome back to rslash. Today, I'm going to be bringing you some relationship stories. This first story comes from Dark Magician. So it's Dark Magician BR. I couldn't help it with the title is, my ex-girlfriend used me to pass on as straight. This may be a bit long of a post, so yeah. I needed to vent this out because it's been 9 months since and I'm still struggling to move on. I met her in French class. We bonded over our hobbies. We liked the same things. We teased each other in class. It was only a matter of time until we started dating. At our first date, I took her to a place she was interested in visiting, a card game shop since we shared interest in TCG. She laughed. She won a few rounds with her own deck and we had a blast of a first date, even though it was by normal people's standards, unconventional. We kissed on the way home and we started dating. Thing is, for months, all I could do was hold her hand. I was 20, she was 19. I was expecting something more early on since we grew closer and we started to think serious about our relationship. One day I asked if we could go on a getaway weekend, rent a car, go to a hot spring nearby and relax in a spa hotel. She said she couldn't, that maybe later she would love to. A whole month passed by and I brought this subject on as a joke and she lost it. She yelled and once she realized what she did, she apologized. It was the first red flag. At this point, it would be 6 months into the relationship. We talked about intimacy after the last incident, but she said she wasn't interested. She liked how we were. I didn't. Eventually, we did succeed in going to the hot spring and we actually made reservations for 2 rooms. It felt like she really didn't want to be intimate at all. Thing is, and this is my mistake in the story, I didn't give up on her. One day at her parents' house, her father mentioned that he was glad that his daughter left behind her lesbian phase, that he was glad that she at least did her boyish hobbies with a boyfriend. Second red flag. She left the table after that. She was crying as if someone had punched her. She later explained that she did have a phase and that she was scared that it might have driven me away. She explained that her ex-boyfriend abused her, assaulted her, and she blocked herself to men afterwards. She started hanging out with her girlfriends and that led her into hooking up with a girl. Parents found out and she ended relations with them. She was underage at the time. It didn't take long for things to get worse from this point. After a few weeks, she invited me to her place. She just finished moving out of her parents and she needed a hand. She had decided to be intimate with me so that I wouldn't run away. Her words. I said I didn't want that way, that we needed to understand what was wrong with her sexual block first. Of course, with therapy. She totally lost it after this. I left her house and we didn't talk for a month. I thought it was it. There was more to it though. We later met at the mall and she held my arm asking me to talk. We talked for a while over small stuff, updates on my cat, but she was hesitant. She started to apologize about her behavior, but most importantly, how she used me to appear straight. She admitted to using me to pass on as straight to her parents so they would let her keep her grandma's home as her own. Turns out, I was just a puppet for an inheritance. There's nothing more after this, no updates. I left and never saw her again. Part of me wished I had the guts to tell her parents about the deceit. Part of me still wishes her well. I know I was naive. I know she took advantage of me. I never expected to love someone and be discarded like that. Never again. So I've heard stories about this from usually gay men using women to pass on as straight, but this is the first time I've read a story about it being reversed in terms of the sexes. This is completely wrong, completely fucked up, and you wasted months of this man's time. And even now, almost a year later, he's still struggling with dealing with this. 9 months and he's still struggling to move on. I hope he's in therapy. I just don't understand why people do this. I'm sure you can befriend people and then later on, if you feel comfortable with them, you can ask them to fake it. Like this man, I'm sure he questioned himself a lot throughout all of this. Like, was there something wrong with him? And stuff like this can destroy a person's confidence. It can deal long-term damage, as we see with this guy. Almost a year later, still struggling to move on. I do commend this guy for being so persistent and patient because I wouldn't have lasted that long. I would have thought that maybe she wasn't attracted to me or maybe there was something else going on, but if she's showing red flags like that, I would have skedaddled. Anyways, let's get into the comments. I don't understand why people pull cons like these when they could just as easily, actually probably more easily find someone who will play the part knowingly, consensually, and enthusiastically. If one of my female friends told me her folks were gonna hold up her rightful inheritance because she likes women, I would give Oscar-worthy performances of an imaginary relationship for her parents anytime she asked. Yes, literally, it is just that easy. I would do the same thing for a friend of mine. If they needed to pass on it straight for something like that, that's nothing. Why deal with like the pressure of keeping up a facade with someone who's unknowingly helping you? Exactly. I explained the story to my partner who has a ton of friends in the LGBTQ community, and her first response is those in the community know the dangers and pressures of being straight to parents, so why didn't she just ask some gay guy to pose as her BF for her family? She had options and chose the one that involves abusing this man. You were naive. She lied to you. There was nothing you could do to change that. My friends keep saying I was too dumb and in love to see that she was using me, that I needed to do the right thing and expose her. My girlfriends keep saying that I did the right thing for not exposing her. My girlfriends keep saying that I did the right thing for not exposing her. You did. She was bad, but we don't know if she would be safe if you expose her. Her parents could be dangerous. Your guy friends are correct. Your ex will likely use more men as she goes about her life. She probably only sees men as props for her to use in life. You may disagree with this statement because you still feel for her, but looking at her actions, she will never feel the same for you as you did for her. You respected her and were willing to wait for her to work through her sexual block. But she showed no respect for you, lying about the reason she didn't want to be intimate. Then she was willing to give you pity sex just to keep you around. Super disrespectful. Making sex transactional instead of out of desire for emotional intimacy. Finally, the only reason she stopped using you is that she got what she wanted, the house, inheritance. You were useless to her after that. I suspect she only told you to ensure you didn't come back to try to reconcile in the future. Essentially, to let you know she was permanently done with you. If she never gets exposed, she may never stop using men. But let me know what you think about this situation down below in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, because I will be posting more. This next story is from username Cool Ice Bro. And I do want to give a warning, this does mention adult material, so if you don't like that kind of thing, just skip on to the next story. Timestamps will be in the comments. This story is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my mom I don't care if my son watches adult material and kicking her out? Yeah. The title was pretty self-explanatory. Some backstory as to what happened and how I even got to this is I am 37, let my mom, female 50, stay over at my house over a few days while she was on a business trip since it would be cheaper than getting a hotel and having to eat out at restaurants. I have a son, 16M, that likes to keep to himself and stay in his room for the most part over the weekends, whenever he's not with friends or not at school, which is fine by me because I was that way as a teen too. I always make sure to knock before entering his room and wait for him to tell me when it's okay to come in. Now, I know my son watches adult material. I know this because one day I was tired from work and didn't think about knocking so I could ask him to clean the cat's litter box. Saw his horrified face as there was some sort of Halo adult material being played on his computer screen and just slowly closed the door and cleaned the litter box myself. Now, I did have a talk with him later on about how yes, it is addictive and it can be incredibly damaging for someone his age to be watching that kind of stuff towards social settings. I didn't punish him. I just pretty much said what I've already typed up. About how it can be addictive, but it's not my place to punish or judge him for watching it. My mom is the complete opposite of my beliefs whenever it comes to knocking and adult material. She would just burst into his room whenever she felt like it and started banging on his bedroom door at one point just because he had it locked. I've told her multiple times not to do this since teenagers deserve privacy regardless of what she believes, yet continues to ignore me. Yesterday, she burst into his room while he was watching Anthro Animals Get It On, and I didn't find out until I heard her screeching like she had been murdered. I rushed over to see what was wrong and she started screeching at me how I have a degenerate son and how I'm not sickened about him watching devil tapes. She then told me that I needed to punish him by taking his electronics away and having a serious talk. I told her to get the hell out of my house, to never talk to me like that again, and I don't care that he watches adult material. So, I like how the guy's like, I always make sure to knock before entering the room, and then he tells us why he makes sure to knock before entering. That part was hilarious. So, I thought the whole Halo theme adult material was crazy, but then when we got to the other part, I was like, whoa, what the hell is that? Anthro Animals? I don't even know what that is, and I'm kind of scared to look it up. Not because of what I'll find, I just don't want that on my search history or on the Google algorithm to keep tracks, because you know these things be tracking us and spying on us. I don't want that on my profile, because I don't want them to think I'm into that kind of weird shit. Again, I don't even know what that is. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up anyway. I'm gonna take one for the team for y'all so y'all don't gotta do it. And if you haven't liked or subscribed by now, do that because I'm taking one for the team. Okay, I looked it up. It's anthropomorphic animals, which is like animals that exhibit like human-like behaviors and tendencies and shit like that. It's like, it's not as bad as I thought it was. So my online profile is safe for now. But that could easily change in the future if we come across more stories like this. And, somebody gotta do it. And it's gonna have to be me, unfortunately. But I'll gladly take one for the team for y'all. But still, the topic at hand. That, I'm not gonna lie, for me, that is weird. I don't want to kink shame, but like, what the fuck? Like, I know bro is like 16, but it's like, bruh, like, come on. That's the type of shit that you look at when you're like 10 and you're on Newgrounds and your friend shows you, like, but at 16 and you're actually getting off to it, like, I don't know, maybe he should get those electronics taken away. He may need some counseling or some therapy. That is kind of weird. What do y'all think down below? I'm a little weirded out by this, but I'll live. But without further ado, let's get into the comments. Your mom had you at 13? That's absolutely horrific. Feel terrible for her. Not the asshole though. Yeah, she was assaulted. She doesn't know who, and her parents forced her to keep it, and constantly reminded me throughout my childhood. This does clarify why she may have huge reservations about adult material, especially when it comes to children. Nah, she was pretty physically abusive towards me. This is so out of left field, but would you want that monster to be jailed? Cause with 23andMe and etc., it's possible to find your bio father. Don't answer if this is too private. As long as you see it and recognize it as an option, that's fine with me. Not trying to dissuade OP, but chances of his father being sent to jail is slim to none. Let me know what you think about this situation before we get on to the last story. This last story comes from username unusual_2734, and the title is, My Sister Ruined My Relationship, Now Wants My Help. My sister 25F and I 21F have been on bad terms because she did something so heinous that I can't forgive her, even though we're blood relatives. My ex-boyfriend 23M cheated on me with my sister. I've accepted that I might not have been good enough for him and that he wanted someone else besides me. When my sister and I were younger, we had a close bond, but as we grew older, jealousy became a big issue. If I had something, she wanted it, and if she didn't get it, she would go out of her way to get it. She is 8 months pregnant with my ex-boyfriend's child. When I found out she was pregnant, I vomited because what sister would do such things to her sister? I've blocked her on everything, and my family wants me to contact her. Her baby's father is nowhere to be found and hasn't been seen since the 3rd trimester. And I know this because my mother likes to gossip a lot and let things slip out without knowing. I told her I didn't want to hear anything about my sister or my ex-boyfriend, but she insisted on hearing everything. My mother once told me that my sister and her baby's father got into an argument because he was talking to other girls, and he put his hands on her and pushed her down the steps, causing her 3 fractured bones. But she still went back, and I don't know why. But she wanted him, so she has him. He never put his hands on me, so I'm not sure where he got it. He was never violent with me, so I don't know how it all became. But this was the start of their relationship, and I never got into it because I didn't care, because she wanted him and they wanted each other, so I stayed distant. There was a time she wanted to come over to my house after they had an argument, but I told her not to call me ever again. My mom called me the other day and said that my sister needs a place to stay because she can't pay her bills and will be evicted in 30 days for failing to pay rent. She doesn't have baby food, clothes, or anything for the baby, and she doesn't have any money. That struck me as odd because you have plenty of time to shop for the baby. I suppose her baby daddy paid for it until he left. My mother and I argued because I was not going to let her into my house and told her she could stay at hers. But she said we were sisters and needed to stick together. I can't tell you how angry I was when she said that. I hung up on my mother because I couldn't believe what she was saying. So when I was depressed and suffering from mental health issues as a result of my boyfriend's cheating, did anyone come to my aid? Instead, they consoled my sister. What irritated me even more was that my mother gave my sister my new phone number, and I kept getting messages, calls, and voicemails from her asking for my assistance. I texted her one thing and told her she should go find her baby daddy instead of bothering me to help her when she never cared about me in the first place. She wasn't happy about that text, but I didn't care. She went on about how I'm not a real sister and how she'll be poor. Am I the asshole? So I'm just gonna come out and say it. Your sister is fucking dumb. Why would you go back to someone who put their hands on you? Why would you expect loyalty from someone who cheated on their partner with you, and then you get pregnant by the guy and keep the baby? From the start, you know he's not a stand-up guy. Cheater, abusive. You want to bring a child into that? What stability is there in that relationship? Is he going to put hands on you in front of the child? Is he going to just break the family up because he can't keep it in his pants? So much wrong here. And the audacity of the mother to tell her that sisters are supposed to stick together after she betrayed her in the worst way. Come on. And then giving out the number. I say get a new number. Go no contact with the mother because she's not going to be good for your peace. My verdict is not the asshole. But let's get into the comments. She went on about how I'm not a real sister and how she'll be poor. Oh, well, she is not a real sister since she decided it is a good idea to fuck your boyfriend, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's not your problem she has no money and else it's her fault. Her stupid decisions and actions, not yours. Block her, don't let her in. This is not your fucking problem, not the asshole. My sister just became a single mom, and all of a sudden, it's important to support family, according to my mother. No, they had 10 years to fix this shit. I'm not breaking no contact because she needs money and a surrogate daddy. Not the asshole. She should consider placing a child for adoption if she is having that much difficulty. You're not accountable for it. Correct. But if we were being honest, the sister bond was broken the moment the sister betrayed OP. If OP's mom is so concerned about her poor, pregnant mistress of a daughter, then she needs to open her own front door instead of her gaslighting mouth and welcome her child and soon-to-be grandchild into her home with open arms, cause nope. I give that comment chef's kiss. She says she needs to open her front door instead of that gaslighting mouth. I love it. But what would you do in this situation? Say if your sibling betrayed you by sleeping with your partner and then getting pregnant by them, would you take them back? Would you forgive them and help them? Or would you tell them to kick rocks? And that's going to be all from me today. I hope you enjoyed these stories. And I do apologize for not uploading last week. I was feeling under the weather, and while my voice did sound awesome, I just didn't have the energy to be at my desk and record because it does take a lot, surprisingly. But anyways, like, subscribe, comment what you think down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.